Dan Morgan is the general manager of the Carolina Panthers, and I can only imagine what you went through on your first day on the job because I'm preparing for this conversation, and I have like 1,000 things running through my mind about what to ask you about, where you started, and all of that. So walk me through, if you could, the process when you walked into that office on day one and how you went about trying to fix this roster.
Yeah, I think, initially just kind of sitting down with Brant Tillis, our cap guy, and just kind of going through the roster, looking at, maybe where we could save some money here and there, what players were performing, which ones, we didn't think were performing, and, just really going through and starting, from scratch, starting from square one, and just trying to rebuild this thing and bring the type of players that we want to bring in here from a culture standpoint. It's just, it's a work in progress, and excited about, the direction that we're headed so far.
Dan Morgan is joining us here, general manager of the Carolina Panthers on the Adam Gold Show. We'll get to the process and the roster in a second, but we see this a lot in colleges where they hire alums to come back and be a head coach. It's more than a job. It's personal because your blood, sweat, and tears are synonymous with this organization. So there has to be a personal feel for this to you.
Yeah, definitely. Playing here for 7 years, and obviously, getting to know the community around here, getting to know a lot of people around here. I have a lot of close friends that still live here in the area. My wife's from the area. All my kids were born here. It's pretty cool. It's pretty special, and it's definitely not a job that I take lightly. I'm going to give it everything I have, and at the end of the day, the chips will fall where they may. But I'm really excited about the direction that we're headed, about a lot of the moves that we've made so far. We just got to keep building this thing. We got to stay diligent. We got to stick to our plan, and we got to be disciplined as well. So, but I like the direction that we're headed.
You spent a lot of money in the offseason on the offensive line. So how do you feel about that unit as we head to the opener against New Orleans?
Yeah, I feel good. To your point, we signed Damian Lewis. We signed Robert Hunt. Both were unrestricted free agents. Both of them are fitting in really nicely, looking really good so far. Austin Corbett, he moved to center. He's at a new position per se, but, he's really hit the ground running. He's done a great job. All his communication, just kind of leading that group. I think he's like a perfect fit for that position. And then, obviously we have Moten at right tackle, old reliable over there. So, Taylor's doing his thing over there. And then, Ickey, another, young guy, 25 years old, 24, 25 years old, still learning, still growing, still getting better every single day. I like the direction that he's headed, and that that the whole offensive line's headed.
I know we're going to talk about Bryce Young here in a minute, but it's interesting. It's really been a difficult transition for Ickey Ekwonu. We knew going into to his rookie season that his run blocking was ahead of his pass blocking, and in the middle of year one for him, there was the coaching change, and Steve Wilks was just pounding the football, which really played into his strength. So how difficult was it for Ickey to go from something like that to maybe an offense that was, I don't know, maybe, again, we're going to talk about this with Bryce, maybe too varied for Ickey because he didn't have a great sophomore year. How do you track his development?
Yeah, I think, Ickey's shown what he can do, from a run blocking standpoint. He's had some really good flashes in pass protection as well. And I think, if you'd asked him and, just my talks with him, it's just about consistency, and it's about, growing in your craft every single day, taking it personal, being a professional, doing everything you can, to be the best that you can be. And, again, he's still a young guy that's figuring it out, but I really like the direction that he's headed. I like his mindset. He's really bought into Coach Gilbert, his philosophies and his techniques. So, I think sky's the limit for Ickey, and I'm excited about seeing him this season.
All right, let's get to Bryce Young. Dan Morgan, general manager of the Carolina Panthers, is joining us here in the Adam Gold Show. I kept watching last year, and I kept listening to everybody around here in Raleigh or around the country talk about, Bryce is a bust. And all I kept thinking was, man, this year is so unfair to Bryce Young. Walk me through how you watched him last year, and I don't know, did you feel the same way?
It was a tough year all around, obviously, and it's one of those things where you have to learn. You have to learn from when things go bad, when they go good. You got to learn in both instances, and I think Bryce, I think he's a really resilient young man that he's taken it in stride. Again, he's super locked in. He's been focused. He's really taken to Coach Canales and his coaching and the way, that he positively coaches all these guys. And, his offensive scheme's really good as well. So I think Bryce is really excited. He's looking really good, and we're really excited about seeing him continue to grow in this offense and get better every single week.
What do you like the most about the receiving group that he has to work with this year?
Yeah, I think obviously trading for Deontay Johnson.
Yeah.
Deontay is one of the better route runners that you'll see in the NFL. Really good route runner, deceptively fast. He's good after the catch. So we're excited about him and what he's going to bring to this offense. And Adam Thielen, obviously, we know who Adam is. I mean, just a savvy vet, super tough, super reliable. And I think we'll be able to rely on him as well, again, this season. And then, young guys behind him with Xavier Leggett, who we drafted in the first round, and then Mingo, who we drafted in the second round last year. These are two big, fast, physical wideouts that we're excited about. We think they have big upside. They have speed to stretch the field. They're both still growing as route runners in, the short to intermediate areas. But I think, I think there's a lot of potential there. I'm excited about this group, and I think, if they reach their full potential, which we're expecting them to, I think we'll have a really good group.
What do you think the best quality is of Dave Canales?
I think it's just how positive he is. He sees things. He doesn't see things from a negative aspect. He's just positive in everything that he does, how he approaches his day, how he approaches adversity. He's just a positive guy, and I think everybody around the building really feels that, and they feel his energy, they feel his passion, and I think everybody feeds off of that. So he's just a pleasure to be around every day, and I think we're really lucky to have him as a head coach.
I know the last couple of years, what he has done to help Geno Smith and Baker Mayfield, that has rubbed off really all around the coaching community. What's the one thing that you think he can help Bryce Young with the most?
Yeah, I think, just kind of going back to last season a little bit, just with Bryce's footwork, I think Dave's really done a good job of, letting Bryce be Bryce, but also, really honing in on his footwork, his timing, getting the ball out. And I think schematically Dave has a really good scheme that's going to fit Bryce's skill set. I think there's a lot of things to be excited about. And again, they're new together. They're going to continue to grow together throughout the season, and I'm excited to watch it.
Dan Morgan, general manager of the Carolina Panthers. Just a couple more quick things. One about a player, and then a big picture, question. But J.C. Horn, in his first meeting with the media since at the beginning of training camp, talked openly about not necessarily playing well, but playing and getting on the field. He's basically played just 40% of the games since being drafted a few years ago. Is it refreshing to hear a player who understands the big picture? I know I could be great, but it doesn't matter if I can't get on the field. He had that self-awareness to know what the number one issue was.
Yeah, JC, he's been around the game, obviously, with his dad, his dad playing. So he's been around the game. He gets it. He gets that he has to be available, and we want him to be available more than anybody. So I'm JC's biggest fan. I know Coach Canales is JC's biggest fan. We hope he goes out there, stays healthy, has a great year, and, so far so good. Because when he's out on the field, he's one of the top corners in the NFL, and he's shown that. So, so far he's headed in a really good direction. We're excited about him, and we'll see how it goes. I'm expecting it to go really, really well for him.
All right, final thing, and this is more bigger picture, because I cover the Carolina Hurricanes, the hockey team, a lot. It's about 7 years into a 9-year playoff drought. The owner at the time came on the local broadcast and asked fans to be patient, as though 7 years wasn't enough time to be patient. What's your message? What's your message to fans? Because I remember the middle of 2018, before Cam Newton's second shoulder injury, where that team looked like it was, I don't know about as good as 2015, but it was trending in the right direction. Since then, it hasn't been as good. So what's the message to the fans about how long until we get back? What are you telling fans who maybe stop you on Mint Street and say, how much longer are we waiting?
Well, I think first and foremost, we're going out and we're expecting to win. We're not coming into the season and, saying we're rebuilding. I said before in the interview, we're just retooling. We're kind of turning the roster over, and we're going to try to make it the, most competitive and best roster in the NFL. And that's the goal. And that's, everybody knows that here in the front office and on the coaching staff, that we're going to do everything in our power to make this one of the best rosters in the NFL. And, that just goes with putting the work in. We gotta watch a lot of tape. We got to put a lot of work in on free agents and in the draft. And I think we got to draft well, and we got to develop our own. And I think if we do that, that it can come quicker than maybe what people will think. But again, we just got to put the work in. We got to stay diligent. We got to stay the course, but there's a plan in place, and we're excited about the plan, and we're looking just to grow every single game, every single season, and at the end of the day, hopefully we're back where the Carolina Panthers should be, which is competing for the playoffs and competing for championships every single year.
I know we have a lot of Panthers fans listening, and I know they all want the same thing that you want. I also remember you as a player who was so good and so passionate about the gig. As I say goodbye to you, when does your day start every morning?
I usually wake up. So I love waking up in the morning super early. I'm a 4:30 wake up in the morning.
Gosh.
I love getting my workout in before I come in the building. But once I'm in the building, I'm working. So I like to get my workout in, kind of get my thoughts together, and I'm here until 8:00 at night. So I'm going all day, and so are the scouts, and so are the coaches, and again, there's a goal every day that we want to build this roster the right way, and we want to build a winner around here, but it's going to take a lot of work, and I think we're up for that.
Well, 15-and-a-half-hour days certainly seems like a lot of work. Dan Morgan, I appreciate your time. Good luck on Sunday against New Orleans and the rest of the season. We'll talk to you again down the road.
All right, sounds good. Thanks for having me.
I enjoyed that. I hope y'all did.
Yeah.
He had to walk into that office on day one and go, man, we got a lot of work to do.
Mm-hmm.
And while I didn't really want to get into it, do they expect to win? Okay. I think they are smart enough to know how uphill the climb is.
It's a big, slippery hill.
Yeah. So, again, I think if this team can win 6 games, I think that's a pretty good season.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we'll see how it. I mean, they could win. I said this before. I was on with Mac and Bone in Charlotte this morning. I think the Panthers could win this week.
I hope so.
I do not dismiss their chances to win in New Orleans, in spite of the fact that I saw Bill Barnwell pick the Saints to make the playoffs.
Oh, really?
That's what I said.
What?
What?
I would not.
I'm not as high on the Saints, but to be honest, I have not been. I have not had my hand in the dirt.
Yeah.
Examining the Saints roster.
It's a division game, so I would love for them to win.
Plus, it's the Saints.
Panthers.
We hate the Saints.
Exactly.
So
Like
I'm
Sean
not even a fan, and I hate the Saints.
Yeah.
But that's kind of
That's what Sean
residual.
Payton
That's
did.
exactly. It's
That's
residual.
why I don't want the Broncos.
Now I hate the Broncos.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's not that I
It's a
don't like
thing.
them. I can't
Don't
stand
like
Sean Payton.
Nope.